Football is
America.
America.
Football is America. If you don't like it, you can kiss your candy ass at the moment in time. I don't give a damn. Oh my God. You love this.
It's 30 to 27.
No!
Chiefs win. Chiefs win 30 to 20. Let's get into a segment we're going to call It Matters to Me. And what we're going to do is we're going to do three I guess topics, I guess in a sense, right? And we're going to talk about what game this matters the most to which fan base, to which coaching staff this week means the most, a win would mean the most, and to a quarterback, a win this week would mean the most. And we're going to start off with a fan base. Kyle, do you want to go first or would you like me to go first?
I'll let you go first in this one.
All right. Now I picked against them, but I think the Lions fan base, what they have been through, let's talk about it, right? A win this week to the NFC Championship game, to that fan base. They won one wild card playoff, and you saw people in the stands crying. You saw people using text message saying the Lions are moving to the divisional round because they won a playoff game, something that they have never been able to do. Technology as we know it today was not around the last time the Lions won a playoff game, especially at home. So if a win here in this divisional round against the Bucs, if they move on to the NFC Championship, this fan base is going to love it. I talked about it during my prediction. They have an entire city behind them. The entire city of Detroit. They're tough. They're gritty. They're blue collar. All the things that you would use to describe Detroit describes this team. Monroe St. Brown being able to name all the wide receivers that were taken before him. David Montgomery being shipped away from the Bears into this team, and his hard-nosed running style. Jared Goff traded from the LA Rams saying, we don't want you. We do not want you, Jared Goff. Go play for the Lions because you're done in LA. And look where he's at now, beating his former team. Dan Campbell being on that 0-16 Lions team back in 2000, whatever, 6, 7. And then coming this couple last seasons and being the head coach and talking about that grit, talking about that toughness. This game means the world to Lions fans. And I said it, no matter what, I think the Lions organization and the fans should be happy with where they're at and where they're going. But a win would mean the absolute most to the Lions fans this week. To me, the Lions.
I would say too, even to piggyback off the Lions thing is even though you would think okay, first playoffs in 30 years and they won a game, okay, it's already a win.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, yeah, but ...
Mm-hmm.
It's the Bucs, right? Could you imagine being told when the Lions were rolling, hey, how would you feel if the Lions lost at home in the playoffs to Tampa? You would be like, shut up. So I agree with you. And I don't think there's any penalty on picking against the team that, because they're not really connected. It's It matters the most to the Lions, but you don't have the Lions. I think that's totally okay. For me, for this one, I am going to have the team picked that I think it matters the most to for the fan base, and that's Buffalo.
Yep.
The Buffalo Bills have had Josh Allen now in 9 playoff games. Okay. 9 playoff games. And his first playoff game was in 2020, and he lost to the Texans. Okay. Then they were able to get into the wild card round the next year. And we were like, oh, here we go. Buffalo's a powerhouse. This is their year. They win in the wild card against Indy. Then they go to the divisional round and they win against Baltimore. They get to the AFC Championship game, and we got ourselves an amazing game, but not the one we're thinking of. But they lose to Kansas City, right?
Mm-hmm.
So 1 game away from the Super Bowl in 2021, and that fan base was crushed, man. Absolutely crushed. So fast forward to the next year, Buffalo is in the playoffs again in 2022, and they have to play the Mac Jones Patriots. Of course, they won, and then they moved on to the divisional round, and this is that historic game, right?
Yeah.
Kansas City once again fucking beats them. Denies them everything that they wanted, that they waited an entire season for, an entire offseason of this is our year. And it's the Kansas City Chiefs come out in 2021. They do it again in 2022. And then fast forward to last year. 2023, they beat the Dolphins, but Dolphins didn't even have a quarterback. They had third string quarterback in. Skylar Thompson, I believe his name is. Then they get to the divisional round and they get smoked by the Bengals. And that's how the year ends. And then everyone forgets about Buffalo until they come back. And now here's Buffalo again. They beat Pittsburgh. Yeah, no big deal. It's Pittsburgh. Yeah, you should beat Pittsburgh. But now it's the Kansas City Chiefs. It's the same team that has denied them the opportunity to go to the Super Bowl almost every single year since Josh Allen and this Bills team. The only difference is this is the first time that Kansas City Chiefs, that Achilles heel, is going to be in their house with their fans. And I'm getting chills right now. Because it's one thing to feel like, oh, okay, we've been eradicated. It's another thing to do it in front of your home crowd. And that home crowd, there's not another team in the playoffs that I could be convinced. Like you said, the Lions lose. They won a playoff game 30 years. Like, it's not like they missed the playoffs this year. If Buffalo loses in a year where the Chiefs aren't even the Chiefs to the Chiefs at home, that's going to be the most painful loss for any fan base this year. It matters the most to the Buffalo fan base.
I agree. Bills Mafia, always there, breaking tables, 0-degree weather. You love to see it from Bills Mafia. Let's move on to coaching staff. Head coach, really what we're looking at. And to me, I think a win this week goes to a team that I picked, to a coach that I picked is going to win this team on the road, beat the team, the Lions, beat them on the road. And that is Todd Bowles, the head coach of the Tampa Bay Bucks. This is his second year as head coach of the Bucks. And we know the Bucks in the last few years as the Tom Brady Bucks. They've gone to the playoffs. They beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Tom Brady added to his rings after New England. What he was able to do there was astounding. But Todd Bowles has gotten a lot of shit for these last two seasons. And look, we have not strayed away from giving Todd Bowles shit. There are coaching decisions that he's made that have been just like questionable. Just like, what are you doing, man? Are you even a head coach? But for him to do to the Philadelphia Eagles what they did last week, it's astounding. It's really like impressive to go ahead, win your division in a weak division where you weren't even really considered for it. Obviously, the Panthers weren't, but you weren't. Kyle, you said it earlier. They were in a rebuilding year with Baker Mayfield. And what Todd Bowles and Canales, the offensive coordinator, were able to do with Baker Mayfield and the weapons they had, it was just impressive. They came out week 18, took a win when they needed to against the Panthers. It was unimpressive, sure, but then you go into the wild card and look what you did. Todd Bowles going to the NFC Championship this season would be just head over heels. Like, it would be ridiculous for him to get all the shit he's gotten. Oh, you're what?
It would be insane.
It would be insane.
Like, you're going to fire this guy? No.
He just went to the NFC Championship, right? And without Tom Brady, with a Baker Mayfield, with a guy who nobody wanted, got kicked out of Cleveland, went to the Rams, made a name for himself, went to Carolina, pretty much kind of died there, and then he's coming back. He's leading this team to the playoffs with weapons that he has that are solid, that are rookies, and he's doing a great thing. So for Todd Bowles, I think a win this week would matter the most to him.
All right. The coaching staff that I think this matters the most to. The San Francisco 49ers and Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan is an interesting start in 2017 where he started six. He's actually started 0-9. I know that seems like a very far memory, but he did finish the season 6-10, and that was supposed to catapult them to 2018. But they went 4-12 in 2018, and then 2019 they had a lot more talent, and all of a sudden they're 15-3. You went from 4-12 to 15-3. You had less losses than you had wins. That's an insane turnaround. And they went to the Super Bowl. They end up losing, but they had a great defense, and they lose to Patrick Mahomes. And it's kind of like, okay, it's time for when are the 49ers going to get over that hump? It's kind of like Buffalo in the NFC. And last year, Brock Purdy breaks his elbow, and they end up losing 31-7 to the Eagles. And the year before, or the week before, there was a lot of moments that people were questioning Kyle Shanahan and his coaching. Now, we always talk about you're not going to replace a guy, right? But then I think there does come a moment which how much talent is too much talent? How much talent is too much talent without winning a Super Bowl?
There's only one ball.
There's only one bowl, right? And my team made it to the playoffs with Manning in 2012 and 2013 lost the Super Bowl. We ended up firing that coach, John Fox, and bringing in Gary Kubiak, who won the Super Bowl in his first year. This kind of stuff happens when somebody thinks that it's unacceptable that this team isn't hosting a Lombardi.
Yeah.
Now, with that said, I do not think Kyle Shanahan's job's on the line. I do not.
No.
But I do think his legacy is starting to be on the line. There's been enough moments, enough times where people can say Kyle Shanahan and his team shrunk in the biggest moments and that they had no business losing this game or that game. Last year, you got the elbow. This year, Brock Purdy's healthy. You have no excuses. This is everybody's team for the NFC to make it to the Super Bowl. If they end up getting bounced by a team that was 3-6 week 9, it's going to be an all-out fire. And guess what?
Yeah.
Once again, the 49ers fans, they'll be talking about, oh, Kyle Shanahan, he's a problem. And for Kyle Shanahan, the fact that that's going to be the response is a problem.
Yeah.
I think it's really important that Kyle Shanahan gets this win. I think it matters to him because this team is just way too talented to get bounced in one game.
Love it. And let's shift on over to quarterbacks now, Kyle. A win this week, in my opinion, would mean the most to Josh Allen. You talked about the Bills fan base, Bills Mafia. We touched on that earlier when we were talking about fan bases. But Josh Allen, the Chiefs, divisional round, history, 0-2 against this very team. 0-2 against this very team in Kansas City. This week, they are in Buffalo. And Josh Allen has been playing out of his mind these last 5-6 games. He has been playing extremely well, but the best thing about this is that Josh Allen does not have to do it all on his own. You're not going to see Stephon Diggs, look pissed off, yelling at Josh Allen on the sidelines this game because they're going to go away and they're going to win this game against the Chiefs. You and I both agree that they're going to win this game. And it's not going to be on Josh Allen's shoulders. It's going to be a team effort. Josh Allen is the quarterback, so he's going to get a lot of the praise. And it's going to mean the most to him, man. But I really do think it's going to be a team effort. And if Josh Allen wins this game against his playoff bitter rival, we're talking Peyton Manning, Tom Brady type of rival, he's just going to be a sigh of relief going into the AFC Championship. Job's not finished. Job's not over.
Job finished?
Kobe, job finished? Job ain't finished. But this game is going to mean so much to Josh Allen and his legacy and what he's been doing in Buffalo ever since they drafted him. It's going to be an amazing win for him. It's going to mean the most to him in terms of quarterbacks. Josh Allen is my pick for this segment.
That was pretty clutch. You said job finish. I pull out a Kobe jersey. That's like pretty
And I
cool.
got Mamba mentality right there.
Mamba
behind me.
mentality. I love that. And I agree for all of those reasons. And we mentioned a lot of them in the predictions, but oh man, it's almost like the trifecta. Honestly, you could make a case.
Yeah.
Sean McDermott is gonna potentially, was he gonna be fired if they lost last week? Probably. What does that mean for this week?
Yeah.
What is the fan base? I mentioned that, and the quarterback, of course. Like you
Mhm.
could really make a case that all three matter a shit ton to Buffalo.
Oh yeah.
So no surprise that you and I both have Buffalo in 2 of the 3. For me, the quarterback that I'm going to say this matters the most to is quarterback Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson, we mentioned it earlier with his stats. We said he had a 68.3 passer rating in the playoffs and only 900 yards, 3 touchdowns, but 5 interceptions. Now, here's what's really important. Lamar does have a playoff win when he won the MVP, right? 2019. In that game, he had 31 pass attempts or 59 pass attempts. He completed 31, only a 52% completion rate. He had 365 yards, and he was averaging 6.2 yards per completion, only 1 touchdown pass. But here's the thing, Rick. This playoff game has majorly boosted his overall stats. Those numbers I gave you in the beginning, 68.3, 903. Most of that's coming from 2019. Let's look at the other 2 playoff games. 2018, 14 completions, 29 attempts, 48% completion rate, less than 200 yards passing.
Yeah.
And a loss. 2020, same thing. He threw 341 yards in 2 games, right? But 31 for 48 and 170 passing yards per game in those 2 games. So that's 4 years ago. 4.
Not impressive numbers.
It's not impressive at all. You're telling me this is a guy that's been on the cover of Madden, has an MVP. He has been the face of the NFL in especially the 2019 year.
Yeah.
And he hasn't really been criticized the same way we criticize other people. And some people bring it up, like I surely will. But there's been a lot of passes because there's been years where he's not playing because he's injured, right? I think he was injured for like 2 of the last 4 years. So then durability came up as an issue.
Yeah.
Well, that is not an option this year. Like, you are healthy and you are playing. If he goes out and has one of these games where he has less than a 50% completion rate and can't even throw for 200 yards and the Ravens are out of sync, it's not going to be, oh, Baltimore isn't a good team. It's not going to be, oh, Harbaugh is not a good coach. It's going to be Lamar Jackson is not a playoff quarterback. And this is a man, this is the time of his career. There is a fork in the road. And if he loses this game, his legacy will be tarnished. Like, sure, he can make up for it with a Super Bowl later, but no one's going to predict it to happen because they're going to consider Lamar Jackson a person that shrinks in the moment's biggest games. Yeah. He has 1 playoff win since he's been in the NFL, and he's considered one of the greatest quarterbacks of the 32 teams. He's not going to get by with that very long. The fact that he's been in the league for 6 years and has 1 playoff win and we still consider him one of the best is kind of insane. So if he doesn't win this one, I think this narrative is really going to catch up to him really quick because the Ravens are everyone's number 1 team. And with that comes a lot of pressure to go out there and at least win a home game at home. So I think if Lamar loses this game, I think if Josh Allen loses, they maybe fire the head coach. They could say, oh, he doesn't have an offensive coordinator. Oh, the season was kind of weird, but the ability to turn it around is really impressive. There's something that you can take from it. And in a way, if the Ravens lose this game, there's nothing good that came from the entire season. Like nobody gets done and goes, dude, we had the best regular season. No, seriously, like we were the best team in the regular season. Okay.
Who gives a shit? Who gives a
Doesn't
shit?
fucking matter.
Yeah.
You know who didn't have the best regular season? The Bucks. You know who you predicted to still be here next week? The Bucks.
Bucks.
Well, the Ravens, Lamar Jackson better hope so.